not going to drag it too much. We would like to start the webinar. So I would just like to give you just a little introduction of who we are. You may not believe us, that's why just a little introduction. So we are Jobs Academy, a venture of 2Coms Group. So it's an e-learning platform specializing in short-term and specialized career courses. We are the authorized training partner to ISI Council, CompTIA, Cloud Credential Council, and NSDC. To brief you about NSDC, there is National Skill Development Corporation, which comes under MSDE, that is Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Well, while talking about Jobs Academy and its courses, we do offer various IT courses, as you can see it here. That's advanced networking, RPA, AI, ML, cybersecurity, ethical hacking, cloud computing, blockchain, and many more. Okay, so RPA, that's robotics process automation, and AI, ML, for which we are here today, that's artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we are in learning platform, as I have already mentioned. And while talking about 2Coms, you remember just at the beginning only I mentioned about we are a venture company of 2Coms Consulting. So yes, 2Coms is Eastern India's #1 recruitment and staffing company since last 28 years. So it's a big time, right? 28 years. Placed over 130,000 candidates, serving 13 plus industries, 200 plus active an MSD partner company, as I've already. So, okay, so we are done with the the Jobs Academy introduction. So now I would like to introduce our today's guest lecturer, Mr. Ganesh Bhure. He would be presenting about artificial intelligence and career opportunities on it, machine learning. So while talking about him, the first thing that I remember that is he is a very nice person. I mean, yes, you will be able to visualize that throughout the seminar. So he has 15 years of extensive experience to work in corporate. He has done his executive management program from IIM Calcutta, which is in Joka. He has also worked in the topmost companies of the industry, such as Wipro, Reliance, Tata Communications. So, as far I concern, he was his last project was as a solution architect. All we are aware of these tech giants that he has worked with. I'm sure he must be having extensive experience working with such tech giants. So, and for that only, we are here to listen to his words. He has hands-on experience on artificial intelligence and machine learning, and today we are here to have a glimpse of his knowledge. I would really like to welcome you, Mr. Ganesh Ji, to begin the session to share all the information you would like to share with us. And Ganesh Ji, thank you so much for being with us. This platform is all yours now. Please educate us with your knowledge. We would be highly grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, Shubhangi. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And thank you, everyone, for pulling out your time and joining this webinar. I'm super excited to share you my journey along with the technical, expertise, whatever I have gone through, the transformation I have seen in the industries today in last 16 years, 15 and a half years to be specific, how AI is changing the businesses. How AI is going to be a future for every industry, we think about, and I will also try to give you some basics about what AI is, and going forward, what all things we are going to cover as part of this training program with Jobs Academy. Okay. Thanks again for all of you, and I warm welcome here for this webinar. And we will begin, not spending much time. I would like to jump onto the topic, okay, for the day. Before I deep dive into AI, what is AI and the history, so let me give you a little structure of this program. Okay, I'm very sure that you guys will like the entire flow, right? You have to be there till the end because I'm going to end this session by giving you some demo. Okay, I can show you how we are going to use some of the powerful tools which are used in the industry today. right? And how we are going to write a program, okay, which is where we will be using some of the very powerful libraries like Keras, TensorFlow on Python platform, okay? So we will write some piece of code and see how we can train a machine and how machine will help us to make some predictions going forward, right? And that's how we are going to build a system which is artificially intelligent, okay? That's where I want you to be there and understand and get a feel of the tools which the industry is using today, right? And some of the basics are around AI. What we as a team at Jobs Academy, we are designing this course for all of you guys, of whoever wants to make their career or whoever wants to boost their career or job opportunities, in the market where this is one of the most advanced technologies and one of the important revolutionary technology which helps to not only transform the industries, but this also helps you to disrupt the world with the five most disruptive technologies like computer vision, deep learning, reinforcement learning, natural language processing, RPA, right? So on and so forth, right? So we will build this step by step, right? There are a lot of things, and I'm sure you must be getting a lot of questions around this. Feel free to drop your questions in the questions box or chat box, whichever is convenient for you. So I'll take all of your questions. After the webinar, I'll spend some time on discussing with the flow, and later on, I will definitely answer all of your queries. Okay. So feel free to drop as many questions you want to. Okay, and then we will move on. So to start, as Shubhangi has already introduced, so I have been in the software industry for 15 and a half years, and into training for more than a decade. So I impart technology training, especially Python, data science, and artificial intelligence. So now in artificial intelligence, there's a deep learning, computer vision, natural language processing, and so on, right? So I do like to spend time on research and developing new programs. I'm a software developer originally, but when I came into AI, it's not no more only a software developer, but it's a mixed role, right? Where I can see how we can apply ideas, business intelligence, and the programming skills to solve some of the complex real world problems for the companies. Okay. Before we begin, so let me give you a brief introduction about something called AI, right? So artificial intelligence. So uh, as I said, it's a most disruptive technology, and it helps how or the way human interacts with each other with the technology, especially in the digital world today, right? How AI will help you to really transform the industries, the true digital transformation we talk about. Okay, so before I deep dive, let's understand a question which was asked many decades ago. Okay, in 1950s, somebody asked, "Can computer think?" Right? And Alan Turing, who has published a paper, right, he has speculated about the possibilities of creating machines that can think, right? And that's the idea started in long back in 1950s, guys, right? And then you see there was a lot of evolution, right? Then they came up with the computer game in 1951. The 1956, that was the first time when the term called AI was coined by a computer scientist called John McCarthy, right? And then the first robot was introduced in 1960 in General Motors assembly line. Then 61, 70, 75, 90, 95, 97, right? There are a lot of events. I could not list each and everything, but to help you, in 1997, right? So IBM's DeepMinds beats the chess champion. 2005 there was a robotic car. 2006 there was a something called deep learning at Google, right? They came up with the whole new way of training the machines, right? And that is where the true AI started happening, right? Then the speech recognition, robotics, smart homes, smart toys. Now you can think about autonomous car. right? There are so many applications I'm very sure you must have at least heard about, right? Then it has started as a hypothetical situation, but today it is one of the most technology of the most important technology and the revolution we see, right? So that is little basics about what how AI has been there, right? And what AI is and how it differs from machine learning or the data science or deep learning. So definitely I would like to add upon going forward, right? First thing is what AI is, right? To make it very simple, right? It is the way how we deal with the problem, right? A human, right? A human who is good at solving intellectual tasks, right? Now we want to make machines to solve intellectual tasks. Okay, we create set of rules to solve that intellectual task, right? So that is nothing but a AI. Okay, AI is a machine. We create a machine or a agent which can mimic the human behavior. Okay, it's a field of computer science, but it is a statistics, it is a biology, and it is a computer science. It's a combination of all, right? Now you must be wondering what is there from biology, right? That's really surprising, and you will be amazed when you think about AI as a deep learning process, right? Which is completely based on the human nervous system, right? How human learns. We think machine can learn in the best way, that because humans are the best learners on the planet Earth, right? So principle or the idea behind making machines learn is brought from something called neurons in the human brain, right? Mostly I'll take some more time to spend about that, but let's understand a little bit on the applications of AI. Okay, so what AI is, and how you can actually see some of the applications around. Okay, for example, self-driving cars. Okay, there's a highly usage of all these technologies, the disrupting technologies what I was talking about. Natural language processing, yes. Computer vision, yes. Deep learning, yes, of course, right? So how TensorFlow and Keras and many other libraries which can be used to create a machine or a model, right, that can be used to make a machine learn about. Okay, the reinforcement learning and the supervised unsupervised data analytics, so all these things can be applied here. Okay, Siri, a computer program which responds to human speech, right? So Alexa, right? All these are AI devices, right, which has a capability to learn about the situation what user is asking, right? Sometimes it automatically fill up the gaps, right, even if you are not talking everything. So that's fantastic, right? So Amazon's recommendation system that falls under unsupervised machine learning, right? That's another interesting, innovation, I would say, when it comes to retail businesses, or for that matter, even in B2B, right? So speed recognition or number plate recognition, this is something you must be wondering or you must be experiencing these days, but there is a whole lot of things, guys, to develop. Okay, there's a computer vision, one of the my favorite topic, where you will see how we can give eyes to the machines, in short, right? That's what the computer vision means, right? So predictive search, so the list is huge, right? I cannot put into the slide. So all these applications, right, you can think about. Now you can think about how the baseline concepts can help you solve some of the real world problems today, right? So we can go step by step. Before this, I just want to make you give you a little bit idea about what data science, what AI, what ML, what DL, right? Yeah, many of you might be aware of this, or for those who don't know, who are completely new, right? I just want to cover a little bit about the basics around this. Okay, so data science is a bigger term, I would say, right? Where we have a computer science, statistics, and the domain knowledge together, we can apply to solve some of the real world problems. Okay, it's a scientific process, right? It's a scientific process to convert your data into knowledge that helps support some business decisions, right? So product recommendations, sales forecasting, weather forecasting, right? The predictions about the the future business or the sales, right? So any business, right, they go through some of the challenges, right? It could be sales, marketing, supply chain, logistics, telecommunications, right? So how data can help those businesses, right? That's the analytics comes under data science. Okay, we examine and we try to uncover the hidden patterns. We try to understand the customer preferences, the trends, right? And that helps your organizations to make some better decisions, right? That's a descriptive analysis we can do to do a data mining and understand the patterns, right? And tell what is there, what has happened, right? And then what could happen, that's a predictive analysis. That's where the machine learning comes here, right? So machine learning is a predictive uh, analytics, right, where we can try to make future predictions. Okay, and that is also one of the most important aspect to extract out of the data, right? Because see, I have a historical data. So what has happened, I tell you now, right? So good that you got to know what has happened, but what can be done now, right? What could happen in the future, right? That is where the machine learning comes, right? Deep learning is no different than machine learning. It's a way we train the machines. Okay, it's a way we train the machine, right? That's the deep learning. It's a process of making machines learn, and that process is termed as a deep learning, right? And the algorithm for AI is called artificial neural network, right? So AI means it's a I would say in a very simple words, a set of rules we define, right, to perform some intellectual task, let's say, right? And machine learning will figure out those rules through the historical data, right? We have algorithms, we can find out the relation between there's something called dependent variables and independent variables, and that relationship when we bring out, right, and those are created as a rules, and your machine will create those rules where the learning happens, right? But if you don't want to hard code those rules, you want machine to learn through the experiences, right? So or through the layered approach. So there is something called a deep neural network, right? Again, that's the idea which came out of a deep learning process, right? So deep neural networks. So that brings actually the complex network which can be used to train machines to make some of the predictions, right? The underlying concept is a machine learning. So definitely machine learning basics, the principles behind machine learning are quite useful in deep learning, and the whole machine learning and deep learning together help us to achieve to build an intelligent system. That is where we build something called AI. Okay, I hope I make this little differences between each of these terms clear, right? So to make you further clear, definitely we can have a detailed discussion for another half an hour to really understand what are the limitations of machine learning, where we have to create rules, why we need to do feature engineering, what is feature engineering, feature extraction. So all these techniques are a little more technical to deep dive. Okay, but for now I try to make you clear about what is the difference between machine learning and the deep learning and AI. Okay, hope you understood. In case if you still have any confusion around this, feel free to drop your questions. I'll definitely discuss about this in a while. Okay, now you must be wondering why AI. A lot of people are talking about, there's a hype around in the market today, like everybody is talking about AI, right? Why nobody talked about AI a decade ago, or why not after another decade maybe, right? So why now? Okay, that could be the question, right? Or that that is something I was really wondering why, because when I have started my career, right, in 2005, I thought I would be I'm working on a best technologies that time, right? That it was a 3G development was happening in telecommunication. I was thinking that, right? But then also there was a need of AI, isn't it? Right? But now there is a more opportunities I see, or the way businesses are working is completely different, right? The way it was earlier, right? And why there's sudden need is because if you look at some of the basic things which I have put on the slide here, there's a more compute available today, right? And of course, if you go 15 years ago, if you go 20 years ago, hardly you used to see 20 GB hard disks on the systems, on the computers, right? Now today 1 TB is a very normal, a basic system, right? So that's the data storage I'm talking about, right? Compute, it's like i5, i7, 4 core, 4 cores and 15, 16 cores. It's a normal thing now, right? So investments, if you think about, there are a lot of investments companies are doing, and there is a reason, guys. Okay, there's a reason why companies are investing huge. Is probably I'll talk about this in some of the subsequent slides. Okay, if I have that, if no, then no problem. I have it in my mind. I can help you understand, right? That is only because there's a lot of data available today. Okay, everybody holds a smartphone. Everybody has a lot of applications or apps installed on your systems, and right, you are aware that every app generates a huge amount of data, right? If you talk about some of the statistics, if you love numbers, right? So there is 45 trillion GB of data available. Okay, that means that is 45 zettabytes of data available today in the digital format. It's a huge, guys, right? 45 zettabytes. If I tell you, if I want you to sense about it, it takes 200 million years to download this entire data if I start downloading today with 40 Mbps speed. Okay, that's a huge data, right? That's a huge data in the digital format, and every company has data, but they don't know what to do with the data. Okay, so one of the practical case study, if you want, right, that we will be covering in the course, during the course. But let's say if it is a customer churn problem. Okay, customer churning is the biggest problem generally for the retail industries, right? Customer churning means leaving your customer to your services, leaving your services and joining your competitor, right? That's where the customer churning happens for you, right? So, if I go to a particular telecom operator, right, and I tell that, okay, I will solve your problem of customer churn by some way. So don't you think the operator will be happy? Yes, of course, right? So what we can do as a as a AI engineer or a data scientist, right? So these are some of the roles offered for the person who has these skills, which we have curated as per the industry need into this particular course at Jobs Academy, right? So here, if you look at this problem, right? So let's say one XYZ operator, right? They have a huge amount of data which they are serving for many customers in many years in the past, right? So that historical data we can use to mine further. Okay, we do dig down and further find out some of the relations how customers left in past. What is the relation? We can think about applying natural language processing on the charts the person has probably put with the customer care, emails probably they have shared for the period of time, probably their discussions with the customer support or their complaints, okay, and so on. There are so many things to actually understand, right? How long customer was with us, so what are the plan customer was, how much payment he was making for his monthly charges, so what is the pain area, right? So that could be done through a system which can be artificially intelligent by learning through the data and providing you the solution that, okay, these many set of customers might leave your services, right? Before the problem actually occurs, we can build some intelligence in order to uh, save them, right? Or in order to make aware of the business that, okay, these might be the people who will leave your services. So at least business can take some decision, right? They can think about providing some offers, or maybe they can think about making them be with you, right? Somehow, correct? So same thing, this could go to the banking system as well, right? A person who is using particular bank's credit card, right? Sometimes they want to change, right? So this is such kind of applications, right? Now you have n number of problems to solve, guys, right? If you are into this domain, right, you can actually think about so many problems which might be of interest for many businesses today, right? So yeah, this could be one as simple as one simple problem statement, right? How can you improve the sales of my retail store, right? There's a step-by-step approach, right? So there's a step-by-step approach how we can make machines learn about this and intelligently tell that, okay, what could be done to improve your sales, right? So there is a process as well. So I don't go deeper into this problem statement. There are so many problems to talk. That's a real-time problems into the course. Right today, in the interest of time, I have to move on with some of the concepts which I wanted to share with you. So there's a phases of machine learning, right? That we should know because that's the foundational stuff, right? That's where the basics are built on top of which we can actually create our deep learning models, right? And we can make very good predictions out of the data which you have. Okay, so here if you see there's a process. Okay, there's a standard process followed across the industry called the step-by-step approach here. That's a crisp DM, but we are not going into deeper with that. But how to gather the data from the different sources. We do data cleaning, right, and then handling the data in order to bring it into a normalized scale and mathematical space, right, where a numerical data is required, right? Because machine learning works in mathematical space. Okay, so that doesn't mean you have to do a mastery in the mathematics and statistics, but a very little basics you have to understand. The rest of the things are taken care by most of the powerful tools which we will be covering in this course, right? Something called statistics or the scikit-learn, the Keras, TensorFlow, right? These are some of the libraries we will be talking going forward. Okay, that's a data pre-processing stuff, and then later on we make machine to learn, that is through machine learning algorithms like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, right? There are some algorithms in each of these areas, right? And we can model your system in order to make some predictions and derive the relationship between dependent variables and independent variables, so that that relationship can be used for your future values to make some predictions, right? That's really interesting if you understand the principle, right? So because I focus on the concept, right? If you understand the concept, it's just a matter of applying this into every business, guys, right? And that's where there's a huge demand, right? Today there's no more only the IT company look for AI engineer, but every business, right, be it a retail or a mechanical automobile company, or an insurance company, banking system, or a telecom. So every business needs people who have the skills, like what is machine learning, right? How AI works, right? So there's a lot of hype, but there's no right material to really go through, right? So this program we have designed to get a real hands-on experience. Okay, so here we have, let's say, a training set. There is a data which you have. Let's say you got 100 years information, right, for something. Okay, maybe you want to plan a city, maybe, right? Are the real world problems today? Some of the cities are facing challenges with the pollution, or maybe the population, or maybe the traffic issues, right? So you need to have historical data. Let's say you have 20 years, 30 years of data. Okay, just assume that you have 100 years data. So 80 years data we use to train our model. Okay, why exactly 80? Okay, there's no rule as such, but 70, 80, 85, right, 75, 60, 65, based on your volume of the data what you have. Just imagine that the bigger chunk I use to train our model. Okay, once the model finds out the relationship between all the different variables, right, we test our model with the remaining portion of the data. Okay, that's where we get a confidence that, okay, how our model is doing. right? We test with the known data so that we know the result as well, and we know the result what machine learning algorithm gives, so that we can compare easily and check how well your model is doing. Okay, that's the evaluation process. Okay, that's the step 4. Okay, and step 5 sometimes, and we revisit our business goals, business objectives, before we actually deploy this. Okay, that's the whole process, right? So definitely there is a the detailed way of looking at this process to solve when we take any practical problem statement, okay, going forward. So let me tell you, the machine learning, because I'm talking about machine learning a bit when it comes to AI, right? So AI, machine learning is no different than the system, which is a subset of AI. Okay, so this is the part of AI only, right, which provides machines the ability to learn and improve with the experiences. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a basis on the historical data, right? And if you have historical data, you can make find that relation between the dependent and independent variables, and we apply some of the complex algorithms, be it a deep learning algorithm, be it a statistical modeling, right? We make sure that we use this data to predict some of the future values. Okay, so that is what the machine learning in a very brief way I'm just trying to help you here, right? And the types of machine learning we should know, that's a basic foundation on top of which you will be actually applying what is artificial neural network, what is convolutional neural network, what is recurring neural network, recurrent neural network, right? And how you can apply computer vision, how you can apply natural language processing. So those things comes on top of the basic building blocks, that is the way machines learn and the different types of learnings. Okay, in the supervised machine learning, right, learning happens through the labeled data, right, where I'm teaching machine, okay, what is this, and the machine is learning basis on that, right? There's a linear regression, there's a classification. These are two types of problems. No worries, at this moment we are not going deeper into that, but definitely in the course we have a detailed discussion about each of these all the algorithms, right? And then unsupervised machine learning, where we have clustering problems and dimensionality reduction, feature engineering, feature selection, right? And applying the principal components, what it is, why we use, right? And market basket analysis or recommendation system. So these are some of the approaches, how we deal with the data when we have to train our machine learning model, without a supervision, right? And Q learning is another very popular algorithm in AI, right? That is reinforcement machine learning, right? Where we want agent to learn by itself. Okay, that's how the robotic car or autonomous car works on, right? Now you learn about a Q learning algorithm, and you can think about applying that, right? For example, I'll take a simple example of how you can train a agent, okay, to find the shortest or a short distance, to probably deliver a food, maybe for a food delivery company, right? Especially during pandemic, right? So we can optimize the delivery process, right? So if you are getting food in 30 minutes, now if you optimize it to 22 minutes, that's a greater success for the business, right? That is how we can apply AI, okay, for some of the businesses, right, to solve their problem. Now, how do we do that is because we train our reinforcement learning algorithm for, let's say, 10,000 times, and identify how you can go from point A to point B to optimize your drop of time, maybe, okay, by minimizing it, right? And that not only gives you a time saving, right, but it also saves your fuel, right? So that's how you can think about Q learning to use to find the optimal policy, right, that can be used, right? So there are a number of such use cases we can think about, but we need to know basics around this, right? First, we need to know how we create a Q learning algorithm, how we train our model and generate those policies, right? So these are some of the examples, and when I say the title is wrong here, what is AI? No, it is machine learning, right? So machine learning types here, supervised machine learning. You will see I'm telling a machine, what is this? This is an apple, right? And then I give a machine another apple that is green apple, and machine identifies that, yeah, this is an apple, right? Because machine has learned all the features of this apple, the shape of the apple, or the color, or maybe the sweet taste of the apple, right? Weight, maybe, right? There are different features of the data. Now machine learned about that through a mathematical approach, and when you give similar fruit, so it will say whether it is an apple or not an apple. Okay, that's a supervised, because we are labeling the target output here. Okay, and this is unsupervised, where we do cluster them, right? This is also very useful in the clustering problems. Okay, that is in unsupervised machine learning, right? So these are some of the basics around machine learning, right? So I don't want to deep dive because of limited time we have, right? Because I want to spend another 10-20 minutes for doing some hands-on. But before I move on, right, let me also highlight to you what you see right in the market. Okay, so how the machine learning engineers and the deep learning or AI engineers are valued in the market, job market. Especially if you look at whatever I have seen, right? I do take a lot of interviews, and I realize that, okay, there is a lot of requirement in the market for the right talent, right? Who knows, who are trained, and who can actually apply these learnings, right? So as I mentioned, the powerful tools like Python, right? The Keras, and the libraries like TensorFlow, Seaborn, Matplotlib. These are some of the visualization libraries, right? So all these we thoroughly cover, right? Because that is something people look at, right? People should have a very good hands-on, right? And those people can directly start contributing, right, to their projects. So if you look at the roles in the market, we have a machine learning engineer who will be eligible, right? Who whatever we have designed in the course, those people gets placed with machine learning engineer as a job title. So AI expert, a data scientist, a senior data scientist, right? One of my students recently, hired, right, in Tech Mahindra. So they are also hiring senior data scientists, which they look for as a computer vision library expertise, OpenCV, the natural language processing, NLP, right? So those are some of the skills in the convolutional neural network. So these are some of the skills were required, right? If you have any past experience, that's the position. If you are not having any experience, or if you are if you are a fresher or fresh graduate, right? So data scientist or a data engineer, these are some of the roles which you can definitely look forward, right? AI specialist, right? So these are people, right? It's not only the technical, right, a coder, but it is a business as well as the technicality, right, together. So AI specialist is the role which the people are big companies look for. Okay, AI consultant or a solutions architect, right? So solutions architect is not just do solve a machine learning algorithm, but you should be aware of the business need, discussion with the various stakeholders, and solving with the help of your team, right? Maybe 3-4 people together can solve some problems. So that's the end-to-end objective you can actually meet, right? So these are some of the roles, but as I said, this is again specific to company, right? So many companies just hire as a software developer who is having machine learning and deep learning skills, and they get this work done. So it's not just that these are the 6 roles available in the market, but you may have different designation, but you will be working on such a niche area of technology today, right? So there are a few key features which I would like to highlight here, right? Especially there is the course which we have designed for AI, right? So here we have instructor led, and we have access for the LMS to basically go through your detailed learning throughout this course, right? So before I jump onto that, I would like to give you a sense of the tools we use, right? And perhaps we can write a very simple and small program for working with the Keras library, right? How we can actually look at solving the problems. Okay. Uh, if you guys are aware of, there is something called Anaconda Navigator, right? So the terms like Anaconda, Python, Spider, so little scary, but this is what generally the AI engineers deals with, okay, day in and out. Okay, so first thing is Anaconda Navigator. It's a suite of softwares. It brings a lot of powerful tools for you. Okay, and I go with Jupyter Notebook, which I prefer, right, which is one of my favorite one. But you can think about using Spider or PyCharm or Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook. So both are same, right? So I launch one. Okay, now suppose if you want to, I have launched one, but it's already open for me, right? I can use the one which I have, right? And I can create a simple Python 3 because Python 3.x is the latest, or I would say the future for Python, right? 3.8 is the latest version of Python, and maybe 3.9 is, released. So this is python.org is the, yeah, Python 3.1, 3.9 is also released. So this is the official site of Python where you will find your software to download. But yes, I go with the Anaconda Navigator, right, where I have a Jupyter Notebook where we can write our programs. Okay, so this is a very interesting and very powerful tool that is Jupyter Notebook, right, where it is a IDE provided for Python developers. Okay, so I will start with, let's say there is a pandas. Okay, I will write numpy as in p. So I'll take 10 minutes. I hope you're good with little more technicality, right? Those who don't have background of programming, so no worries. In this course we have some primary stuff to cover, right? In that you will definitely get more hands-on with these tools. Okay, matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. Okay, import cborn as SNS. So these are some aliases I'm creating. Okay, so I just want to use warnings. uh, I want to ignore some unnecessary warnings. I want to just ignore them for now. Okay, then I will take you through ignore. Okay, there's a spelling mistake. So now there is some basic libraries which which you should be aware of from scikit-learn. Let's say if I talk about some of the models like decision tree or random forest classifier or support vector machine, you can use scikit-learn, sklearn, right, and some of the techniques. But if you want to use Keras, right, so you can import Keras where we want to develop a model using Keras, right? And I also want to import from Keras dot models import sequential. Just a moment. Yeah, so this worked. So from sklearn dot, I think, layers, not sklearn, from Keras dot layers import dense neural network, right? How we create a neural network, and there is something called from Keras dot optimizers import Adam optimizer, right? Or you can go for a stochastic gradient descent, right? All these things we will discuss later on. And we can actually try to go deeper into Keras first, because unless we understand the principle how the learning process happens through AI, right? How the what is neuron, right? How the neuron looks like, right? Then how neuron can be use that principle behind the neuron to create something called a perceptron, right? And all these things can be used to create a complex deep neural network. Okay, let's say I'll just give you a little overview of this. Let's say you have, oh sorry, not this one. I have playground for TensorFlow. right? So neural network looks something like this, right? Everything is a neuron here, all these dots. You can have multiple hidden layers, multiple neurons in each of the hidden layer, and there's the output layer and there's the input layer. So I did not cover all the technicality, guys, so no worries. This is something in a detailed discussion it will come. Okay, so what is this neuron, what is the weights, what is input, what is output, what is hidden layer, what is the activation function, right? And the learning rate, epoch, classification problems, all these things are discussed thoroughly in the course. Okay, but I just want to make you understand that such a complex neural network can be created through just few commands by using libraries called Keras. Okay, so I have a detailed discussion planned for these libraries, right? What Keras brings to you and how we can use. Okay, first of all, let me get a data for something called iris flowers, right? So this is a type of flowers. If you go here on Google, iris flowers. So these are some types of flowers, right? You see, right, this is how the flower looks like. They have different types of flowers. There are three categories, okay, species. So if you look at this, yeah, this will tell you what exactly it is, right? There is the iris versicolor, setosa, and virginica, right? These are three categories of this kind of a flower. Looking at flower, we can't probably figure out which class of species this particular flower belongs to, right? But given the data, which is a historical data, which is there for study purpose from this ICS UCI library repository, right? We can pull that data and use into your Python code. Okay, so I'll create a data frame, pd.readcsv. I can read this through this URL and specify the names equal to names. Okay, so this is how this data looks like, right? We have sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width, and then basis on these dimensions, right, in centimeters, right, you will find the target variable, that is whether it is a iris or versicolor, or sorry, whether it is setosa or versicolor or virginica. Right, now our objective here is, if the dimensions are given, your model should tell that which class it belongs to, right? That is a classification problem we are talking here, right? So suppose if you have your x and y variables, so df dot illoc, and I want to get all the rows and I want to get up to fourth column, right? And I'll create it the numpy array, so x and y, and here I'll go for only the fourth one, and and I think that's okay. I'll go with values. Okay, now I will go for targets, then y dot reshape, because there is a particular dimensions it look for. Okay, so I'll reshape this, and there is something called object or the data transformation we do sometimes, right? If it is a categorical data, especially the target data is a categorical data. Okay, if you look at this, this is not a numbers, right? Not a numerical data. So in that case, we can use something called one hot encoding from scikit-learn dot pre-processing import one hot encoder. Okay, I'll create an object for this one hot encoder. So then I can perhaps use targets equal to one hot encoder dot fit transform. Okay, these are detailed discussions we can have. Okay, every argument why we are using, what we are using, right? Those things can be discussed. From sklearn dot model selection import train test split. Do you remember we talked about splitting the data into two parts, right? So this can be done through the training and testing through this function, which is available from scikit-learn library, right, which we can use. So I don't recall this function signature, but we can take a help page right then and there in the Jupyter notebook, and you can just copy it. So you don't have to be master in coding, you have to just know how to use this coding skills, right? So instead of x, I'll use targets here instead of y. X is the same x we have used here, right? You can specify the test size as any values that is okay for now, right? So 20% data I use for the testing purpose. Okay, so that's how I got my test and trained. So I create a model using a sequential model. That is where we initialize a simple neural network, guys, right? This is a comment I write for your future reference. Creating a simple neural network, okay, model. So one command, and this makes your life easy, guys, right? So model has been created. It's a matter of adding some of the input layers, hidden layers, and the output layer, right? So now I want to add a hidden layer using dense function, right? There are 10 hidden layers. Why 10? The answer you will get definitely in the upcoming discussions. So number of dimensions, there are 4 dimensions because these are the 4 characteristics of the data I have, right? Then number of dimensions is given. There is something called activation function, right, equal to, I'll go for a sigmoid here. Okay, this is where we create one hidden layer. Then I add another layer, that is I directly jump onto the output layer, guys, right? So output is 3 because there are 3 categories of this df dot target, okay, dot unique. If you see, there are 3 categories: acetosa, versicolor, and virginica. Okay, so you could use this here and use activation function. Okay, even if there is a multi-class classification, softmax is something we used. If it is a binary classification, you can probably choose a ReLU function, right, rectifier function, right? So that's how we have created a structure, okay, which looks something like this, okay, but definitely there is less, so I can remove one, and here there are 10 such neurons. Okay, this is how it looks like, and then there are 3 output neurons, and there are input, there are 4 actually, right? So this is how 4 neurons. So this is how the structure we have actually created internally, right? You may not realize this by looking at this, okay, but compile. Now you see here how we can compile. Loss function we have to give. So I'll go with categorical cross entropy. I have to check the spelling. I need to exactly writing the same thing. Then the optimizer, okay, optimizer function which you need to use. There is an Adam function. So I did not import Adam. So probably I need to import uh, from. So we have to import Adam. So I think that is available from Keras dot optimizers. Yes. Okay. Import Adam. Yes. Adam is there. Okay, and that's not over, so you can use the metrics equal to, let's say, accuracy. Okay, now let me compile this. Then model.fit, this is the place where I want to train our model using a training data set and your x and y values here, and then with some epochs, epochs equal to, let's say, 150 or 200 I can take. Then verbose equal to 1. Let me see what is happening here, right? So in every iteration, every epoch, right, it is training with the accuracy of 35%. That's not really good, right? But the training process happens, and during the training it improves. See here, the accuracy is going really high, right? And over the time you might see that your model is now giving you prediction up to 96% accuracy, guys, right? So that's what evaluation we can do, right, by tuning some